What's up, y'all, and welcome back to Drawditions. Today we're gonna be doing another Inktober video. I'm gonna apologize for two things right here and now. First of all, I apologize for how late this video is going up, and second, I apologize for the video itself being a day late. I should have put out two videos today, but I said I had time in the previous one because it would be the weekend, and I thought I would, but it turns out I had a lot of homework and just stuff that I needed to get done, so I couldn't get the videos out and couldn't put as much time into them as I wanted. I did end up putting a decent amount of time into this one, and I'm actually pretty happy with the result. Buildings are always something I struggle with, and from the start of this one, I thought I was going to struggle with here, but honestly, it ended up getting decent the longer I worked at it. So honestly, I'd say this piece is evidence to something I always have to remind myself, which is really you can never judge like how art is going to turn out from the beginning. It sometimes it's just going to take a while and eventually something just clicks, and if you give up before that thing clicks, well, that's unfortunate, and sometimes it won't click. Sometimes you get the thing done and it just still doesn't look the way you want it to, but I've adapted a very trust the process mentality with this kind of thing because it can start just kind of looking like a blob, but with a little bit of working, it actually ends up looking pretty good, and so I'm pretty happy with all in all, I'm pretty happy with that, and I've just, it kind of, it is what it is, and trust the process. And I did want to put more time into this one because I did say in the previous video that because it was the weekend, I would put more time into these. And so I did try to put a little bit more time than I would usually put into one of these Inktober videos. And I mean, that you can tell that from the timestamp. The last few videos have been like 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 5. This one's about 8 minutes, so about doubled the time was put into this one than in the other ones that I've posted recently. So all in all, just I did try to live up to that, and I do intend to live up to that, especially with, even though it's not going to be the weekend anymore, I really want to put time into tomorrow and the day after's topic, because those are two prompts that I feel like I can really nail home. I feel like my style, I feel like I can actually hit those ones well and it turn out okay. And by okay, I mean better than anything else that I've put up during this Inktober. But back to the castle itself, I really couldn't tell you where I was drawing inspiration from. I was originally going to do a sci-fi castle, but then I just ended up going into a generic castle. So there's some European in there, but this is not a very common shape for a European castle. This is just, and the roofs are not very European, and honestly, the whole construction is just kind of a mixture of a lot of things. I think there's a little bit of Asian influence in there. I'm not exactly sure like what region of Asia, although I'm thinking either Chinese or Japanese. And I can maybe see a little bit of inspiration from there. There's a little bit of Norwegian, a little bit of like Nordic inspiration, but really this is just a hodgepodge of pretty much every style of castle. And I mean, honestly, I think that works. It's a little bit more palacey than castle-y, and what I mean by that is a castle's a fortress. I'm like that the intent of a castle is to be a defensive strong point, a place where they're more like keeps. They're a place that a village can retreat to, because they're big. A castle is basically a miniature village. They're the outer walls, the inner area, and then like the inner palace area. Uh, they're basically miniature villages, and they were like a place that people could retreat to when they were being invaded or attacked, and they were just a strong defensive position. That was their entire purpose. Whereas palaces were more just architecture and aesthetic. They were meant to be more to look at and more to show off someone's wealth compared to your average castle. Um, and this castle, the reason I say this one's probably a bit more palace-y than castle-y is while there are battlements on this one, there are few battlements, and honestly, I don't see many. The towers aren't even like defensive towers. They're entirely aesthetic. They don't seem to serve any purpose. It's got the gates, but overall, this would not be the best defended castle in the world, so I think it kind of teeters between castle and palace, but honestly, that's fine. I think it's an aesthetic choice, and I think it ends up working out, and honestly, like I said, and I'm going to sound a little bit like a what's the word? What's the phrase? Worn out record, something like that. I've been repeating myself a lot. That I'm pretty happy with this one, and I am. I am genuinely just. It turned out better than I thought I would. So I mean, kudos to me. But I'm just trying to think like that there was definitely a process going into this, but I couldn't really say like what that was. I kind of just drew for this one. I had like a podcast going on in the background, so I couldn't really tell you like my exact thought process. I considered trying to add like light coming from the windows. I feel like that would have looked cool, but I didn't really know how to do that, so I just ended up leaving them as they were. And I feel like that's something I really want to learn how to do lighting. Like, I'm getting decent. Now, I'm using my old way of shadows, which my old way of shadows is not the best way for shadows, but it works better in this black and white medium. But I would really like to learn how to do lighting. Anyway, that's going to be the end of this video, so I'll see you on the next one. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, you know the drill. Anyway, I'll see ya. Bye.